Miagao Church. Mention Iloilo in the image of Miagao Church immediately come to mind. The Church of Santo Tomas de Villanueva, commonly known as Miagao Church, is the most famous church in Iloilo province. This colossal church is one of the 4 UNESCO World-listed Baroque churches in the Philippines. Constructed in 1787, this battery-colored church made of limestone and adobe took 10 years to complete. So, Miagao Church is also one of the Baroque churches of the Philippines, a collection of Catholic churches across the archipelago that were inscribed in the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1993. Other Baroque churches in the list include San Agustin Church in Manila, Nuestra Señora de la Asunción in Santa Maria, Ilocos Sur, and San Agustin Church in Paue, Ilocos Norte. And based on the UNESCO World Heritage Convention's historical descriptions, the Church of Santo Tomas de Villanueva stands on the highest point of Miagao. Its towers serve as lookouts against pirate raids. It is the finest surviving examples of Fortress Baroque. The Assumption's Facade epitomizes the Filipino transfigurations of Western decorative elements, with the figures of Saint Christopher on the pediment dressed in native clothes, carrying the Christ child on his back and holding on to a coconut palm for support. The intricately decorated facade is flanked by massive tapering bell towers of unequal heights. So today, the Church of Santo Tomas de Villanueva stands proud as a legacy of Miagao's vibrant past, a testament of the town's devotions and artistic talent, an eternal reminder of Miagao's creativity, a treasure that the world regards now as the heritage. And the Augustinian Mission Stations of Miagao became an independent parish in 1731, when a simple church and convento or parish house were built. However, destructions of the town by pirates in 1741 and in 1754 led to the rebuilding of the town in a more secure locations. The new church, constructed in 1787 to 97, was built as the fortress to withstand further incursions. It was, however, damaged severely by fire on the 2 occasions during the revolutions against Spain in 1898 and in World War II. Needless to say, the Miagao Church is one of our country's architectural religious landmarks because of its unique designs, ornaments, and motifs. Because the town of Miagao is the first-class municipality located approximately 40 kilometers southwest of Iloilo City, it is well known for the first 18th century church, the Santo Tomas de Villanueva Parish Church, built in 1787. During the revolutions in 1898, the church was destroyed and subsequently rebuilt in the same year. In 1910, the church was damaged by fire, while in 1948, it was damaged by an earthquake, and the restoration was completed in 1962. Due to the disasters and calamities it went through, Miagao Church underwent restorations work several times already. In 1974, Miagao Church, Iloilo was declared as a national landmark, and in 1993 it was listed by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. The adobe used in building the church is made from silt and clay that can only be found in the part of Iloilo, giving also the building a unique warm yellowish glow. The towering buttresses from the side of the church are typical of the earthquake Baroque design reminiscent of churches in Ilocos, particularly Panay Church and Vigan Cathedral, while the church's simple interior is highlighted by striking gold-plated retablo. Now that you know the history of Miagao Church, let's talk about it being a UNESCO World Heritage Site. UNESCO has chosen Miagao Church as one of the World Heritage Sites because it exhibits various architectural designs with the predominance of Baroque architectures and local artistic elements. The church foundations run 20 feet deep into the ground, and its 1.5 meter thick walls are reinforced with 4 meter thick buttresses. As the town of Miagao was constantly invaded by the Moros for almost a decade in the mid-18th century, the church had to be moved to a more secure place, so a new fortified church was then built at the highest point of the two to guard against potential invaders. But what makes this church even more special in its unique ochre color? The church was built using a combination of Spanish Baroque and Romanesque early medieval architectural. Its style with the additions of Chinese, Muslims, and local Filipino elements in the decorations of its facade. For instance, Saint Christopher is wearing a traditional Filipino attire, and it's surrounded by decorations like papaya and palm trees, which are very common in the country. The Miagao Church distinctive yellow ochre color comes from the exclusions of coral, ground into dust, and egg whites in mixtures for the adobes. Egg whites are customarily used by Spaniards to make mortar for their churches in order to make the mixtures more durable. The creative and aesthetic abilities of Spanish colonizer are reflected in many colonial churches in the Philippines. This is especially true in Miagao Church, a world-renowned religious structure now included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. Miagao Church is one of the Spanish colonial mission churches in the Philippines. The building of the church came as a missionaries via the galleon trade between Acapulco and Manila. The absence of European and Mexican architects in the missions allowed the idealistic friar builders to try their hands in orchestrating the design and constructions of mission churches with the help of native maestro de obras or maestra builders. So, there is no engineering innovations in the structural compositions of these churches because they are simply built to withstand the destructive forces of nature. It was an architecture which took into account of the tropical climate, the frequent of earthquakes and typhoons and fires. Like any other foreign influences, the architectures of many colonial churches has undergone the process of indigenization. This process is carried out by incorporating the prevailing Hispano-America and medieval Spanish architectures with local as well as Muslims and Chinese touches. Thus, the synthesized topology which developed into a distinct styles of missions churches is anachronistic with unmindful use of decorative elements. It had no distinctions in terms of period or orders. Stability and massiveness along with durability associated with sound architectures was very common. Thus, mission churches was mostly fortresses built for military purposes with some concessions of their facades. The unique design of the church reflects the integrations of Spanish and Latin American architectures to indigenous architectures of the Philippines, including a fusions with Chinese styles. The church's political power of the period manifests in the architectures. The church was partially restored by Friar Agustin Escudero in 1864, and its interior was decorated by Friar Jose Sacristan in 1880. They had been designed to withstand attacks during revolts and rebellions, giving the church the appearance of fortresses. The blending of religions and military portrays the manner Spain saw its situations in the Philippines. So making in a one-of-a-kind church, that's why the Miagao Church architecture is among the Philippines' most beautiful architecture gems. So what you guys waiting for? Come and visit the famous cultural heritage of Miagao Church that located in Iloilo City.
Every single day, I'm gonna make